All right, today we are diving into a high-stakes Hollywood mystery. We're talking about one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, a major studio, and a sudden, really surprising decision that has got everybody talking.
So let's get right to it. It all kicks off with this single question that's been sending ripples through the entire industry. Why on earth would a powerhouse studio like Paramount just suddenly pull the plug on 3 projects with Ryan Reynolds, one of the most bankable stars out there?
So what exactly happened? Let's break down the news about Paramount's big decision.
The news itself was short and sweet, but man, was it a shocker. Paramount Pictures officially put 3 films on the shelf that were already in the works with Ryan Reynolds. I mean, for a star of his level, this is a huge deal.
And look, we're not talking about some small indie flicks here. We're talking about a sci-fi movie called Area 51, a spin-off of the absolute classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and an adaptation of the beloved kids' book Eloise. That is a seriously diverse and very high-profile lineup.
But here's what makes this whole thing so weird: the timing. This decision came right after Reynolds' production company renewed its first look deal with the studio. That's basically an agreement where Paramount gets first dibs on anything they create. That deal was supposed to last through 2026, which just tells you how sudden and dramatic this shift really was.
Okay, so if the business side of things seemed totally fine, what gives? Well, that leads us to this really compelling theory that's been making the rounds online. It all comes down to something called reputation risk.
So what are we looking at here? Is this just, a standard, boring business decision that happens behind closed doors? Or is it something more? Is it a sign that Hollywood is starting to get seriously cold feet about attaching its name to even a hint of controversy?
The whole argument really boils down to that old industry saying, because at the end of the day, a studio's #1 goal is to minimize financial risk and, of course, maximize profit. And this is really the heart of it. The theory connects these cancellations directly to what some see as a damaged reputation. It suggests that the massive financial fallout that can come from public controversy is making studios incredibly careful about any star who might turn off even a part of the audience. And to back this idea up, people are pointing to other examples. Take what happened with Sydney Sweeney's movie Christie. After she got caught up in some controversy about her family's politics, there were calls to boycott the film online, and it ended up really underperforming at the box office. The argument is that public backlash can have real, tangible financial consequences for a studio.
So what's the specific controversy that's supposedly spooking the studio when it comes to Reynolds? Well, it all seems to circle back to one high-stakes lawsuit. Yeah, the theory is that all this perceived risk around Reynolds isn't even directly about him. It's tied to this huge ongoing legal battle involving his wife, Blake Lively, and a fashion designer. The thinking is that the potential mess from this case is creating collateral damage for his career. And the stakes here are, apparently, through the roof. A potential trial could drag all sorts of personal details out into the open in a way that could be, and I'm quoting here, explosive and so damaging to both of their public images.
Now, you might be thinking, hang on, most cases like this never actually go to trial. And you'd be totally right. The vast majority, over 90% of civil cases in the US, get settled out of court.
Right? So that number, that 90%, really makes you wonder, why is this particular case maybe heading into that rare 10% that actually sees the inside of a courtroom?
Well, the claim is that a settlement is pretty much off the table. Why? Because one side is supposedly unwilling to accept anything less than complete vindication. When you've got an all-or-nothing situation like that, a quiet, out-of-court deal becomes almost impossible.
So with a trial maybe just around the corner, the fight isn't just happening in the legal system. It is playing out big time in the court of public opinion. And where is the main front for that battle today? You guessed it, online comment sections. These places have basically become a proxy war for supporters and for detractors.
On one side, you'll see comments that are super critical, like this one, painting a really negative picture.
But then you scroll down a little and bam, right in the same article you see the total opposite, comments that are fiercely defending Lively. The contrast is just, wow, it's immediate and it's intense. So when you see this kind of online tug-of-war, it leads to a pretty sharp question. Are we just seeing real people with strong opinions? Or could this actually be an organized, maybe even artificial campaign designed to sway how the public feels?
And this isn't just a one-off idea. This whole theory gets even more fuel from another example. There are allegations that the trailer for a different recent movie had all its negative comments systematically deleted, which would of course create a totally artificial vibe of positive buzz.
So, when you take a step back and you look at all the pieces, the canceled movies, this massive lawsuit, the online comment wars, it really starts to look like there might be a new kind of math in Hollywood, a new way of calculating risk. And it all boils down to this one final, massive question for our times. When it comes to a studio's bottom line, what actually carries more weight? The verdict handed down by a jury in a courtroom, or the verdict handed down by millions of clicks, comments, and shares online?